Hey, Jason, welcome back to Leading and Serving Podcast.
Hey, Chris. Good to see you today.
Good to see you too.
Yeah.
How's life?
Oh, it's great.
Yeah?
Always, right?
Okay, now you can be real with me.
Okay. We got some sickness in the house.
Oh, no.
Yeah. It was a long weekend, and when you got plenty of kids and you're into foster care, and it's a fun day. So,
yeah.
But no, we're on the up and up. We're improving, and so
hey,
I'm
that's
happy
good
with that. And yeah, we're in good shape.
Yeah, that whole process of moving it out of the house is kind of a bit of a process, isn't
Which
it?
kind of stinks because it was like amazingly beautiful weekend.
It was.
And man, we got to sit on the deck a little bit, but
right,
just breathe.
Right. So. And the weather's only getting warmer, right? Because we're walking into summer, and that's exciting.
Yeah, it's starting to get to that point where it's hot. I'm annoyed by hot.
Oh,
and so it's almost on that point where I'm starting to get annoyed here and there. So yeah.
You need an outdoor hobby like a motorcycle, and then you could just go for a ride.
I fly north for the summer. That's what I do. Yeah. Anyway, so everything good with you?
Yeah, everything's good. Just trying to keep up with the changes that are happening. It's one of those things where, when you're in business, change is inevitable, is it not?
Oh man, you step up to plate to hit a fastball.
Yeah.
And it's not a fastball.
No. Especially when everything around you said it was a fastball.
Right.
For all intents and purposes, it totally should have been a fastball.
Yeah.
So yeah, just changes happening, and I'm learning.
Very good. Very good. Well, that's what this is about. We want to encourage leaders. We want to encourage entrepreneurs and just to keep learning, to keep working down that road, because, when we pour into ourselves as leaders, we're able to pour into others and lead really well and to serve well. And so that's what we're about.
Yes.
That's good.
I like it.
So yeah, real quick, jump over to leadingandserving.com. We would love to hear from you. We'd love to hear your thoughts on topics. If there's anything coming up that you're like, man, I wish they'd talk about this. Wouldn't that be great timing? Shoot us a message. Yeah. Send us a voicemail. We would love to hear from you. If you want to support the podcast in some way, we would love to hear from you.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, we're going to finish up our series today on the 4 types of leaders.
Okay.
And, you might be sitting there going, wait, I'm going to do the math. Let's see. We only had 2 previous episodes, and we're going to finish it up today on the 4 types of leaders.
Yeah. That doesn't quite
We're going to cover 2 today.
Okay.
Because the 3rd type of leader is the abdicating leader. Okay. We've been talking about the protecting leader that is all about support. Okay. They bring all types of support to their team, whether it's relational or resource, or, they give you all the trust in the world. But the other side of the coin is the challenge part.
Yeah.
And we've talked about the dominating leader that brings so much challenge, forgets the support side, that it just becomes this dominating challenge, expectation, deadline, task. It turns ugly. And both of those quadrants, and you're like, oh, well, then I want to be one or the other. No, both of these quadrants aren't the best quadrant to be in.
Right.
Okay. The 3rd quadrant is the abdicating leader, where you just don't support and you don't challenge.
You're just there?
Sometimes. It's the leader that's just kind of checked out.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't, just coming, showing up for the paycheck. It's the leader that just is like, whatever we get done, I don't care.
Right.
There's just a sense of apathy and just, they just abdicate their role as leader to the things around them. And, and so maybe it's, if it's somebody in the middle of an organization, maybe they're just kind of sitting there like, I'm not getting any support or challenge from up above. So
just is what it is.
I don't even know what I'm supposed to lead my team on. Right.
Yeah.
And so they just abdicate as well. And just like, yeah, you guys you were hired to do something. So do it.
Right. Just fill your role.
Right. And, when do I need this by? I'm not sure. I don't care. Just get it to me. So it creates this ambiguity of what's going on in the organization.
Yeah.
Of what's going on your team. And when you check out, man, what happens to the rest of your team?
Yeah. That's a big deal.
Yeah. If it's somebody who wants to succeed, they're like, I'm out of here.
Right. For sure.
They'll be gone.
Turnover is definitely going to be an issue.
Right. And, you might capture a few people that don't want to be there either and like, hey, we can all collect a paycheck and do nothing.
Right.
Sounds good to me.
Right.
That's not what I want my business to be known as.
No, for sure.
And so that's the 3rd type of leader. Someone who just doesn't care anymore, has abdicated their role as leader and just has kind of walked away, whether it's mentally, emotionally, physically. They're just like, I'm done.
Mm-hmm.
I'm done. I don't know what to bring here. And so I'm just, good luck, guys.
Right.
And we definitely don't want to be there.
No.
I mean, that
does not sound healthy.
Yeah. Protective and, dominating leaders can actually justify why one of those sound good. I don't think you can justify why abdicating sounds good.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that'd be an interesting conversation with that leader.
Yeah. So the fourth quadrant, though, that is the place that we want to be, because that is a quadrant of liberation. So it's the type of leader who comes in and liberates their team to do amazing things. They become, that's where the old adage, the sum of the parts is greater than the whole, right? Mm-hmm. And so that's when a leader comes in and creates a team and creates a synergy, emotion within it that is just freeing. And the way that happens is that you have to learn to bring a healthy balance of both support, like that protective side, and challenge. Okay. That you find a healthy way to bring communication in both those areas. Okay. So the healthy communication would be in terms of what? Deadlines, of expectations, of budget, of resources. Here's what you have to get your job done well. Here are the limits that you have. Here are the boundaries. This is when it needs to be done and who you're working with. I mean, there's a clarity of communication there that doesn't cross that dominating line. But it's clear of saying, here's where you need to go.
Right.
Do you understand where you're headed?
Yeah.
Do you have your marching orders? Here's the action items. Here's our goals, our priorities, whatever that might look like for your organization. Here's where we're headed. Are you clear on that?
Yeah.
Are you clear on your next steps? Okay. That is communicating a healthy challenge. The other side of that is communicating healthy support of, do you trust in your people?
Yeah.
Like, okay, I need you to get somewhere in the next 2 weeks. Here's your marching orders. Here's your goals and your priorities. Now, how do we support them to it? Do we truly trust them to get the job done, to do what they need to do, to bring success to the company the way you envision it?
Yeah.
And so that's part relational, that you're right there with them, you're encouraging them, but it's also part resource of, do you have what you need?
Right.
Yes, we have a budget, but do you have what you need? There's some nuance there.
Yeah.
Of how to really support trust in your team and make sure that they understand where they're going, when they're going, how they're getting there, and that you're behind them all the way.
Yeah.
We talk often about failing forward or fail quickly.
Right.
Because failure is just an opportunity to learn, right?
Right.
We're creating that environment as a liberating leader,
where it's acceptable to fail in the process of growing.
Yeah. Here's the challenge set before us. But if we don't get there, I've got your back. And we're going to figure out what we're learning in the process so we can reset the expectation so that we can succeed. Right?
That's good.
That there is no comfort in the dominating atmosphere that it's safe to fail.
Yeah.
And on the protective side, it's way too safe.
Yeah.
Failure is almost expected because we don't give the deadlines. We don't give the expectations. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So how are we supporting our team? How are we challenging our team? Finding that healthy balance really helps us liberate our teams, liberate our organization to be greater than the sum of our parts.
That's good. So, that's real good. I think, and it's hopefully that, people listening to this, we all want to be there, right? We all want to be there. But even that too, at some level, right? It's a process to get there. I'm glad that we've done this, because I think that we have to recognize where we talked about before we hit record, which was we have a natural tendency to lean towards something, right? Yes. In this space. And so now we understand what is the healthiest space for us and the people we're leading, right? It's that fourth leader.
Right.
And trying to balance that out and just knowing what our tendencies are and trying to keep eye on the part that we may are not as good at.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's we know we don't do this well, but we need to also recognize that it's important.
Right. And I think all of this really kind of boils back down to communication. Because that's what we're talking about is I'm communicating support or I'm communicating challenge. And somebody who leans to that protective side, because that's me, I lean to the protect, but I still have expectation. I still have the idea of when and how this should be done and what success looks like.
Right.
I just don't know how to communicate it. Right.
Yeah.
And so it's coming back to our communication practices of going, okay, we think about the 5 voices.
Mm-hmm.
Some of us are a little more prone to communicate challenge, and some are a little more prone to communicate that protected, right? The support. Right. So how do we learn to communicate well across the whole spectrum of that?
Right.
Right. Because it feels uncomfortable for me to go into a conversation and be like, okay, I really want this done by Friday.
Mm-hmm.
It feels uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I know it's the right thing to do.
Right.
But it just feels uncomfortable.
Right.
And so how do I get over that hump? How do I get through those conversations?
Yeah.
And vice versa. Well, that support stuff just feels like touchy-feely crap.
Right.
Right. I don't want to deal with that, but we know relationships are important.
Yes.
We know that we have to support people. We have to give them, set them up for success.
Yeah. So, and if we don't communicate, then we'll never get anywhere, right?
Right.
I mean, truly, because you can't lay out any expectations. You can't. Mind reading is not a thing, apparently. At least I don't know that. I have found out 110% of the time, I don't do it. I have tried. I am not successful.
Right.
So,
right. But I'm going to agree with you. I've got a lot of sarcasm welling up within me. I'm just going to leave it alone.
But,
or unless you can read my mind.
No, yeah, right. That's too funny. But it's like you said, it comes back to communication. That's huge. It's huge. And so it's like, and I'm glad you brought the 5 voices back up, because those individual voices lean towards, you can have natural tendencies. My guess is we know what your natural tendencies are based on your voice. So if you're working with somebody that's not in your voice set,
right,
recognize that.
Right.
And try to prepare for yourself so that you can communicate effectively if you can.
Because we communicate in the way that we want to receive communication.
We totally do.
And so I've got a couple of coworkers that are very different in voice order than me.
Yeah.
And so I know that I feel horrible going into the conversation going, yeah, but we need to get this done by then. That just feels bleh to me, right?
Right.
But I know that is their tendency in communicating. And so for me to step into that conversation and say, hey, how about Friday? Does that sound good to you? So I'll make it maybe a little more shared decision,
right,
even though I'm shooting for Friday.
Right.
I'll still soften it naturally, and I'm trying to change how I communicate of saying, oh, we need this by Friday.
Right.
No more provisional language. This needs to be done by Friday. Can you deliver? And when people are coming from that perspective, they respond. That liberates them. And I'm just going, I don't get it.
Right.
That just, it feels weird because that's not our foundational voice.
Right.
And, and same on the other side, of that support, of checking in, of, hey, you got this. I can help you get there. What do you need along the way? That's where I lean. And so it's easy for me to do that. But,
right.
And when I have a leader that doesn't do that, man, it puts us at opposite ends of the spectrum.
Right.
And I don't know if I trust that leader.
Right.
And so we have to learn to, we have to lead ourselves first. We've talked about that 100 times, right?
Yeah.
And then we can learn to lead our teams, lead others,
right,
by understanding their voice. And you're a connector, I'm a creative, so I kind of know how to bring challenge to you. I know how to, not great at it.
Yeah.
I still hesitate.
Yeah.
Because neither one of us like doing challenge.
Right.
And so, the other day I was like, hey man, we need to have a conversation neither of us want to have.
Right.
Are you sitting down?
Right.
And so you sit down, you have the conversation, you walk away and go, oh, that wasn't that bad.
Right.
Right. So, yeah. Hone your communication.
Yep.
And if you haven't had a chance, you can look back in the archives of the podcast. There's descriptions of the 5 voices in some of our episodes. Yeah. In the show notes, there's a link to go and take the free assessment. Yeah. There's also an assessment with that same assessment, but you can unlock a pro results with some more information behind it. But it's good stuff.
It is. It's real good stuff. And it is so key to communicating properly, right? I mean, like, this isn't just something that, and I just can't get over how important this part is, like, and how effective it is to be able to communicate this way. Like, spend your time on that communication key, because it is a nonstop evolving thing.
Right. And that if you can take it to the next level of having that shared language throughout the entire team and organization. Other people that I work with that are deep in 5 voices as well and understand what's going on. I even use that phrase like, hey, I need to bring some challenge. Are you ready for that? And they know exactly what I mean.
Yeah.
Because it's a shared common language. And they're like, okay, yeah, I'm good. Go for it. Or let me finish this and then I'll have space in my head for this,
Yeah, right. Which is good.
It totally sets up new ways of communicating that you have that shared language. Just makes it more efficient and less misunderstanding. Oh my goodness. Imagine that.
Oh.
The better we communicate, the fewer misunderstandings.
What?
Would that change business?
Oh my goodness. That'd be amazing.
Yes, it would.
Because inevitably, I feel like if we can curb just 50% of it, just so much further ahead.
Right.
So much further ahead.
Well, teach your team as well.
Yeah.
If they're in 5 voices, they understand their voice and they know which one you are.
Yeah.
And when, if you're stressed, if your buttons are being pushed and you're coming across as a dominating leader and they're like, what is going on?
Right.
They can understand well, if he's such and such voice and, I didn't know about this. Okay. I get it. I understand why this is coming across a little different today, and helps us gain consistency, but it gives us perspective as well.
Yep.
Because everything going on in our lives affects how we do business.
Yeah.
And relate to our team.
And unfortunately, we're in somewhat stressful times for many people. It's just the stress of life is with many things that are going on with the world.
Yeah.
Life is a little bit more stressful, a little bit heavier for a lot of people.
Could lead to that abdication.
Right.
100%. This is screwy. I don't get this.
Right.
I don't see a solution. I'm just going to check out.
I'm just going to check out. Yeah. I'm just going to be here, get a paycheck.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. All right, y'all. So leading is serving, right?
Yep.
That when we serve others, we lead them well. And by doing that, when we work on our communication, we learn to be that liberating leader. We learn to give healthy support, healthy challenge, not unhealthy versions.
Right.
But we learn to do that well with our team. And that likely looks a little bit different with each team member. And that's okay, right? Because we all have different voices. When we do that, when we become that liberating leader, you become somebody that people want to follow.
Right.
How many times have you had a boss that you had to follow?
That I had to follow?
Here's your supervisor. You got a new job.
Right.
You're assigned to him. You're on his team, blah, 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 right?
Yeah. I don't even know how many times.
Right. And how many of them were people in the end that you really wanted to follow?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And so this is about how do we become leaders that people want to follow?
Yeah.
Not just they have to because they signed up and they signed a job
and that's
whatever.
What they have to do. Right.
Right. But you are somebody that inspires other great people. Leaders underneath you.
Oh, yeah.
That'd be just absolutely wonderful. So
I love that idea.
Holler at us if you have questions. We'd love to chat with you a little more.
Follow up with us.
Yeah. Leadingisserving.com.
Yeah. Use the website. It's amazing.
Yeah. All the links are in the show notes.
Yep. Sounds good.
Okay.
Well, thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Enjoy the summer. And
yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
I know.
So
we'll see you the next time around.
All right. Sounds good.
Bye, guys.